On the podcast, does this offend you?
And you're welcome that you get to live here at all.
So non-Māori are only welcome here because Māori allow us to be here. Te Pāti Māori MP Mariameno Kapa-Kingi takes division and separatism to a brand new low. Welcome to the program.
Are we paying these people to front up, or are we paying them to fly to Wellington to eat their lunch? Should you really lose your career for refusing to take part in a 90-minute lesson about Māori culture? This government doesn't actually have any idea how to get economic growth. Show us what you made of, Prime Minister.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, you're with Editor-in-Chief. Good evening, everybody. I'm Duncan Garner, and welcome. And please subscribe. I always tell you that. So hit the subscribe button and let's keep our numbers going. Now, we are here at their pleasure. We're absolutely here at their pleasure. You may have lived here for 100 years and have generations that go back even further. But Te Pāti Māori, Te Pāti Māori indicated that we're only here because Māori allow it. Get real. You'd think they might have humbled themselves, don't you, after the Privileges Committee and the haka fiasco, but no, they're laughing at us. And what wasn't she? And why wasn't she made to withdraw her comments? Why did she not get kicked out of the Parliament for this comment? Why is Jerry Brownie in this Parliament pussyfooting around these guys? I'll play it for you shortly. Let's go.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, so it's a comment that will rile and wind up most Kiwis. It's likely to go down like a cup of cold sick with anyone who came to New Zealand after the Māori got here. So that makes it all of us, really. And it came from Te Pāti Māori MP, Mariameno Kapa-Kingi, suggesting that we live here at the pleasure of Māori, which makes us just visitors to our own country. I find it deeply offensive. This is my home. I was born here. It's the only place I know. Watch this.
And you're welcome that you get to live here at all. Yeah, I know. Having feelings. Come on.
A point of order, Mr. Speaker. A point of order, Simon Court.
It's the sort of thing that gets right under your skin. And ex-Simon Court was right to call it out.
A point of order, Simon Court.
Mr. Speaker,
point of order. Point of order, Simon Court.
Mr. Speaker, that reference that member made to we should be thankful that we should be allowed to live here at all, I find offensive.
What's the point of order?
I find the point of order is that member is creating disorder in the House by suggesting that some members don't deserve to live here. And Mr. Speaker, I ask that you ask that member please to withdraw and apologise.
All this came during the shortened debate on Te Pāti Māori's punishment handed out by the Privileges Committee. And that debate will resume again shortly, but it's next level to suggest that we're only able to live here at the say-so of Māori. So they get to decide whether we live here or not. This is what we've come to expect from this lot. That Jerry Brownie didn't ask you to withdraw the comment and apologise shows that he's gone a bit soft, I reckon. And he's got the job of keeping Parliament in order, and that can be difficult, trying to keep everyone happy, and from it descending into a right mess. But he's been soft on them, I reckon. He won't like me saying this. I'm not even sure I can say this, but I'm saying it. Because when Mr. Peter stood and questioned the Māorification of everything, as in what constituted Māori, he was kicked out of Parliament for this comment.
So point of order.
This is not the place to debate that. Right Honourable, hang on, it's a bit of order. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Could I ask the Prime Minister in the question, the issue of Māorification? Would it be Māorification if every Thursday I went down and got myself a suntan?
No, we're not going to do that. That is one of those questions where I made the point before to the Honourable Kira McAnulty that at some point some minister is going to overstep and take an early afternoon. So I'd suggest that the Right Honourable Winston Peters remove himself from the House now.
So Peters is sent packing, but not Kapa-Kingi. Firstly, Peters was quite funny. I thought, what constitutes a Māori? Someone who goes to the sunbed every Thursday. Good on you, Winston. But Kapa-Kingi was very serious and offensive, and deliberately so. But to not check her, I thought was weak from Brownie. And not only have standards of dress dropped in the place, but the level of animosity in the chamber is high. And not in 30 years have I seen it so forged on racial lines, Parliament so forged on racial lines. So clearly defined, like it's truly them versus us. That does not bode well for New Zealand, in my view. I fully stand opposed to a war along racial lines in this country. I've said it before, but this Te Pāti Māori outfit are an angry, belligerent, rule-breaking crowd. Separatist activists, and it's led by John Tamahiri, who's the president. And they're mostly responsible for this, because their behaviour. But I'm going to point a finger at Chris Luxon as well, for stupidly allowing a race debate to take place in his first year, and for giving David Seymour, what he wanted. It's left Te Pāti Māori unable to move on. It played right into their lap, suited their protest at all costs sort of approach, and they can now be martyrs. We've walked right into the trap. Idiots! I just think right now we all need to be on board on the good ship New Zealand. If we can sail in the same direction and have the health of our families and country the central focus, then we win. But we're divided right now. We're seriously divided. Everywhere I go, people talk about it with me. It started under Jacinda Ardern. National struggled to rein it in. And indeed, they presented ideas to the Parliament that meant Te Pāti Māori reacted strongly against it. And now, look what we've got. This is what it looks like. Our race relations, in my view, has gone back 50 years. And of course, I blame the staunch, angry Māori Party MPs, but others have been neck deep in this too. John Tamahiti, Willie Jackson, Jacinda Ardern, then Luxon and Seymour played their part as well. And where are we at? At a time when we need strong focus on the economy and low interest rates and bouncing back, we've got Parliament dominated by sideshows and distractions and egos achieving sweet bugger all. Shame on all those who took New Zealand down this path, leaving us where we are at today. As a tiny country, this vision is simply toxic and corrosive, and we all lose. I urge all parties to get a grip. But don't hold your breath. Their egos are out of control. And ordinary people suffer and battle. And normal households, they struggle with cost of living and all those sorts of things. And they're watching on, and they're disappointed and frustrated and increasingly angry at our politicians for being negligent towards the needs of New Zealanders. Instead, they're doing this sort of crap. And I think it's wasting our time and wasting our money.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, right. Shane Jones, New Zealand First Minister. He's been watching this stuff really closely in Parliament, and is so often engaged in a constant battle with Te Pāti Māori and their extremism. Shane, good to have you on the program. These guys are next level. Nice to have you on. Good evening.
Hey, greetings, folks. Great to be here.
Hey, so what do you make of this? This was in Parliament not that long ago, last week. The Māori Party, you'd think they might have been humbled a bit by the Privileges Committee findings, but no. You got one of their MPs, Kapa-Kingi, going out there saying, "Oh, you're welcome," and then laughing arrogantly, as in, "You're welcome to be here at our pleasure." In other words, we're visitors in this country. She's a bit rough.
Yeah, I think what's going on there is there's a two-way street of provocation and triggering between them and the ACT Party.
Yeah.
Obviously, David knows how to really get under their skin, so they tend to wait then when he's not around and then go for provocation and have a crack at some of the other caucus members. Of course, what they don't realise is that soon the ACT Party will be moving, and Matua Shane will be their neighbour, because once David takes over as the Deputy Prime Minister, we swap seats with where the ACT Party currently is.
Yeah, there.
You'll find Winston and I to be a totally different kettle of fish.
Yeah, that will be interesting too, because it'll be Māori on Māori as well. So I can't imagine you'll go quiet, Shane.
No. I've come up with a biological equivalent of an embedded megaphone in my gob.
Yeah, I mean, it is this Māori Party, and I've done so many bloody podcasts on these guys now, but it's the gift that keeps on giving. But it's not helpful to New Zealand. No, JT they've really decided to be that divisive, separatist, activist. They won't move off it. It's working for them, right? They're in opposition. They should be irrelevant, but they're making themselves relevant by TikToking and doing all this stuff and holding such strong positions against what I reckon is Pākehā New Zealand and the institution that is Parliament.
Yeah, well, they've got an agenda to act as subversive players in our Parliament. Know this from me, the debate is going to take place over their punishment from the Privileges Committee. Labour, as you know, wants to basically let them get off scot-free.
Yeah.
The Green Party actually want to join them. However, Winston and I, we're not going to back down. I mean, what did they think was going to happen? The moment that we arrived, Debbie Packer, when she wasn't at the suntan clinic, decided to cast tutai in the direction of Winston and I, saying, "You're not real Maori, your blood is watered down, you're a disgrace, you are a sellout." I mean, all of these epithets. Now I've had a whole career of people yelling and screaming at me. But, if you're going to lead with your chin, if you're not coming with the necessary pugilistic skills, you're going to be knocked out. Yeah,
it was pretty rough, I thought, on Winston. Winston says, what does it mean? What does it constitute to be a Māori? Oh, you're going down the suntan clinic every Thursday, which I found that slightly funny, actually. And then, of course, their reply was, "Oh, well, you none of you are really welcome here. You're all visitors." And Winston got sent home. And they can stay. Oh, Brownie's got to harden up. Now, I know you can't criticise the speaker, but I probably can. So, come on, Jerry.
Yeah, well, Jerry's got the experience. I think he waited for them to show a level of reciprocity. But of course, Rawiri, before Rawiri got into politics, he was a version of Billy T.
Was he?
Quite an entertaining, hard case fella. I've never known Debbie Packer, and I have no idea how long she's considered herself as a Māori, so I can't comment on her background. But you get a lot of people, it's only when they get into public life. And then they start searching and overreaching and overcompensating what it means to be Māori.
Yeah.
And the reason that they're doing that is because they bring an insecurity. And that insecurity shows they won't own and embrace everything that makes them who they are. Well, our whānau from Awanui, Kaitaia, Delhi, Welsh, Maori, if we're bobby calves, the old man said we would have been clocked on the head at birth. But it was just the done thing. You never ever categorise yourself so that you deprecated or you're embarrassed about one side or the other. It is what it is. And that's the type of Kiwi culture that Winston and I are hell-bent on bringing back.
Well, that's a proud culture. It's one that recognises all your whakapapa. And what I struggle with is what you just mentioned there, when you whakapapa Māori, but you also have Scottish, Irish, whatever, grandparents or whatever you have in there. Why do these people dismiss that part of their history as being something like inferior or something to stand over and something to kick in the gutter? Because, or so Māoridom is a superior race to the Irish? Come on, man, we're all humans.
Yeah, I know, crazy.
Come on.
Well, I think what's happening, mate, is it's rent-seeking behaviour.
Yeah.
There's a big streak now going through a lot of the affairs in Māoridom that you can make money out of it in a way that was never the case when we grew up. Now, if you just look at what's happening with my preference that we should start mining off the coast of Taranaki, all these iron sands to get the various critical and rare minerals. But it's 30 kilometres out beyond the horizon, number one. Number two, I'm expected to believe it shouldn't happen because 100 or 50 or 60 scores of surfies went out there on surfboards. I mean, they should have been drug tested before they went out on those surfboards.
They wouldn't get out there 30k mark, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the absurdity of it.
Yeah, and also the idea that Māori did something with that water 200 years ago, or 300 years ago, 400 years ago, and how it impacts now. Like my son said that to me the other day, Shane. He said, why are we being held to account now for what happened so long ago and continually held to account for it? Not just settlements. The settlement's fine, but they're continually held to sort of somehow feel guilty for something that might have happened in 1858. At some stage, Shane, we've got to decide, okay, we've had 50 years of the Waitangi Tribunal. When do these modern claims end? And when can we draw a line and say, all right, let's go, there's one?
Yeah, well, there's a big burden on this review group that Tama announced. Their job is to bring us back a tight, slimmed down, reset version of the Waitangi Tribunal. I mean, a lot of the members that belong to our party, they want to eradicate it. It's done its job.
Yeah.
But obviously, we were unable to secure those outcomes in the negotiations. You get 6.5% of the vote. You've got to do as much as you can with your leverage, but there's no guarantee you get everything you want. Mate, there is a virus. It's a plague.
Yeah.
Every single thing that's raised the fault is colonisation.
Yeah.
And it's been like the march of a cultural elite through all the institutions of the state. It's going to take a while to root it out. But to give you an indication of how deeply embedded and so socially unconscious they are of what they're up to, look no further than the documentary about Jacinda Ardern. As I said earlier today, whatever they say about me at the Tangi, watching that wretched documentary will not be one of those things.
Yeah, I dread what it's going to be in there, because I do remember them asking for permission for some footage out of TV3 at the time for this doco. So I know there's going to be some of the exchanges we had in the mornings and everything. And I dread the way it's going to be positioned, Shane, the way they're going to frame it. The Messiah over here, and the rest of us paupers who didn't appreciate her enough.
Well, the other thing too is that we're now back with the National Party. We're back where I think a lot of Kiwis respect what we're saying, doing. Even the speech I gave on behalf of Winston, because he had to nip off early at the budget, that sort of struck an accord.
Yeah.
But Jacinda, no doubt, will make a virtue out of the fact that New Zealand First chose her in 2017. And for a while, we were able to keep a noose and a leg rope on what they were up to. But once we got booted out of politics, it went right off the reservation. And to the point where she couldn't even travel around New Zealand, too afraid to go back to Auckland, and that's why Labour got wiped out.
Yeah. Look, I don't think she can come back to New Zealand. And I think that even talking to people on Saturday night, I was at a Croatian club function, 200, 300 men, and there's a real level of frustration and dissatisfaction towards her, like that something hasn't been addressed. So a lot of people don't want her back in the country. I think she'd struggle to come back here, Shane. It's probably why she's hanging out at Yale and so forth. But I can't imagine it'd be easy to come back here.
No. Well, it's out of the Bible. You reap what you sowed.
Exactly.
And she sowed a lot of seeds that were designed to curate her reputation. I think there was a plan all along. Labour itself was too weak. They couldn't control her. I know how hard it was for them to control her. I was in cabinet.
Yeah.
And I don't want to reflect everything that happened in there, but that's going to be very, very difficult. I don't think people are really interested anyway of
I don't know if they are or
more
not.
about her. We want to get on and solve the problems that are in front of us.
Yeah.
The Māori Party represent a blight at the moment. They're misrepresenting Māori aspirations. They're turning the haka into one victimhood chant, and they're justifying that they're allowed to do it whenever they want to, cheapening, in my view, the haka. And the fact of the matter is they're too scared to front up to the Privileges Committee, and if you really believed in the strength of your moral stance, then you wouldn't be wandering around scratching for lawyers or deciding, I don't want Parliament's committee because it's a kangaroo court, so I'm going to wander off and set up a kumara court.
Well, imagine that. Imagine we go onto Debbie Packer's marae and don't want to play by her rules of her iwi. Oh yeah, I'm sure white people would be welcome to do that. This is the rules of the place. It's been around hundreds of years. It's a Westminster system. It's what happens. You signed up. You took the pay and the perks. Why not the rules?
Well, the reality, mate, is that after the treaty was signed, it didn't take long to set up a legislative council over here, and in 1865 created a parliament, and we embraced and took on board the traditions, and those traditions in Britain go right back to the Bill of Rights, 1688, and beyond that, go back to King John when he had a square off against the earls and the lords and various other gentry, and that led to the Magna Carta. Well, those are magnificent traditions.
Yes.
And the fact that Debbie and Rawiri regard them as silly little rules, the playthings of Pākehā. The sad thing, though, is that all of us can see through them. They've turned the treaty into some sort of canine chew toy, and they gnaw away at it.
Yeah, but there's been organisations too that do this as well. Plunkett and all these organisations, they go out there and they put Pākehā staff through these sort of white guilt courses now. These compulsory courses for Pākehā and these organisations. Plunkett's never been anti or pro anything. They've always just been about New Zealanders, no matter what colour, race, whatever. They've always been about the birth and the well-being of babies. But now nurses have been put through these guilt courses.
This is this cultural march, this elitist march that's taken place over the last, 6-9 years, forever long. It certainly was turbocharged. As you well know, they tried to sneak in the Puapua report. I mean, that discreditable piece of sort of ideological toilet paper, popularised by Jacinda and Nanaia Mahuta, has done a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's led really to a lot of Māori folk having a target on them. Did you really get what you've got on the basis of merit? And I resent that being put on any of our young people. We've got a tremendous number of people throughout the civil service, irrespective of their whakapapa. They want to do a good job. They can do a good job, but they're pigeonholed by the Māori Party ideology. Yeah,
I agree. I think it's so dangerous for New Zealand too. The Māori Party have not been about this, and they haven't been this extreme in the past. They've really upped the ante. I was talking to some people the other day. There was a job application, and I was talking to them about because they wanted some information from me, and they said, "Am I Māori?" And I said, "Why?" And they said, "Oh, well, it just helps to us to know." And I said, well, it's an interesting question that, because I can speak a little bit. My kids all are. They whakapapa Māori. I've been on kohanga and kura committees. I've been in a few scraps. But I don't whakapapa Māori. One side of my family does, but not our side. So I said, does it really matter? I was trying to find out why it matters, Shane, you know. This is a question from the public service. Are you Māori? Does it matter?
I mean, they've turned the whole question of identity into ideology.
Yeah, exactly.
And that ideology carries the freight of colonisation, victimhood, grievance. I mean, it's shocking, mate. But the difficulty is that it's held aloft by even the what passes for the intellectual fervour of the Waitangi Tribunal.
Oh, yeah.
Every single thing that goes before that tribunal, Crown bad, democracy bad,
correct,
political parties sinister.
Yeah, white people
Parliament
guilty.
Wrong.
Yeah,
and everything that's coming forward from Hapu or whoever the Māori claimant group is, totally overwhelmed with legitimacy.
Yes.
It's all politics, mate.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Stop taking things so personally. The Waitangi Tribunal itself put itself on a crusade, which is very, very disappointing.
Oh, they're
but
up
anyway,
themselves, Shane.
the high tide mark has come and gone if New Zealand first has its way.
Yeah, well, if you have more MPs, you'll do something better. But they're up their own asses. That's probably what let's get cuts to the chase. I think on it. You know, they've lost themselves up their backsides. They've become quasi judges, haven't they?
Well, you can't underestimate the influence that they believe they have. I mean, Winston and I have said, look, we'll back David Seymour's regulatory bill to go to the Select Committee.
Yeah.
Then based on the quality of the Select Committee outcomes, give New Zealanders, lawyers, academics, a variety of others have a chance to say how they believe the bill can be refined and improved. And on that basis, the final shape and the form of the bill will be settled between the three parties. But the Waitangi Tribunal jumped in straight away.
Yeah.
And arguably worsened their relevance because they tried to scuttle something that did come from the democratic process. And they seem to think that they're like a sort of, I don't know about a House of Lords, but, you know, just allow the Select Committee process to go through and let New Zealanders speak.
Who are they? I mean, that's right. They sit there in judgment and they think their report, well, it's not binding. None of their reports are binding. But it's like an upper house in many ways, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I think you're right in that. And they look down upon everything else. Here's our judgment. This is the final judgment. Well, that's your opinion.
Well, the other thing, too, is it's not just them. We've got all these grandees who sit on these panels under the RMA Act.
I've seen them.
And, you know, it's pitiful. We're meant to be trying to shrink the cost of energy and boost supply. You can't even build a solar farm because 2 or 3 grandees in the South Island, unknown, untested, able to bring their historical prejudices and their own priorities to the table where New Zealanders suffer.
Yeah.
That's why we supported the fast track. Winston presented it to the Tories in 2023. And if the fast track doesn't deliver what we want, we're going to change the law again until we get what we want.
Do you make it work? Yeah, I came across a number the other day. We're bringing in 27,500 RSE workers this year. So that's from the islands, you know the scheme well. 27,500. When they first kicked it off, it was 5,000. So 27,500 people, Melanesian, Polynesian, you know, from all around, come to New Zealand, pick fruit, that sort of thing. Yet we have 220,000 people on the job seeker. And we have 25% unemployment between ages 15 and 19, predominantly, hugely, statistically, Māori. How do we get these boys working and picking fruit? We bring in other people. That means the foreign exchange goes back to their place. We miss out on that and the jobs. We're nuts, Shane.
Well, you heard what the Minister of Finance said. The next budget is going to have a major level of welfare reform content.
Yeah.
It's like I said in my speech, mate, we don't just have fiscal challenges, we've got deep cultural challenges.
Yeah, we have now.
That far too many look to the state and regard it as an udder, to be milked at their convenience. Now, the left wing, the Greens and Labour let them get away with it. There's a good reason why I'll never be made the Minister of Social Welfare. I would take a Singaporean approach. Of course, we have to have Christian charity. And there are some obvious cases where little children are involved and they are being reared by their mums and all that sort of jazz. But a host of these young men and women they have no intention of working, and they resent being made to go to work. And when they do go there, they try and wreck the place of work so that they're dismissed. Well, the stewards of the state, which are the politicians, should draw a line in the sand. You're a part of a social contract. For every right you assert, you've got obligations and duties, and you're about to learn the full weight of what those are.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, then you'll be living in a Nico whare somewhere up the back of Maungataniwha.
This is it's good to hear this, because I'm with you on this. We've created this intergenerational dependency too. You and I, we see this all the time. We go up north and everything, and these guys are capable. It's just their attitudes are shit. They're capable. They're physical. They're big enough. They're ugly enough. They can work, Shane.
Yeah, well, I just got to go to Kaiko here. The gang influence, but the drug influences. But that in itself is a bit of a crutch, mate. Yeah. That in itself is being used as an excuse.
Get off your ass.
It's a deeper cultural thing where kids are being raised too often in households and families where being expected to sweat by the sweat of thy brow is not the expectation.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm all for a short, sharp Singaporean burst of reality.
I looked at the Aussie system, and you have to work before you get welfare over there. I can't believe we can leave school and go on welfare. 15 years of investment in education, and then you go on welfare. What a stupid system, Hey,
mate, you and I go over to Aussie a bit. How come the average Māori you come across over there is doing very well, but they're not entitled to the dollar?
I tell you what,
they're not entitled to any welfare benefit, and they're doing exceedingly well. Come over here, and a disproportionately large number of them, same size, same physical specs.
Yeah.
They're just
drop kicks,
making themselves a burden upon their own whānau, destroying the glue that keeps the community together, and then imagining that there's no consequences to their actions.
Yeah.
I'm very much out of the Old Testament, mate. An eye for an eye.
Yeah, look, I think that's the time as New Zealanders have, the more Jacinda and her lot pushed all this stuff down our throats, the more the reaction the other way, cause and effect comes. And so now you're seeing with your party, with ACT, maybe Nationals are a little bit weaker on this because they just always are. They talk up a big talk, but you're going to have to push them on this. But the time has come for a bit of means testing around this and a bit more time limited. It has to be time limited. You're capable of working, Shane. These are young men, mate. Yeah. If they're not working at 18, 19, 20, they never will work.
Absolutely. You know it. Well, the reality, mate, is that the Greens and Jacinda believed in unicorn kissing. I want to get the horn of the unicorn and shove it in a very sensitive spot so they've come into the real world. Yes.
Well, then we've mentioned what that is. Hey, before we do go, Māori, older Māori, they're actually quite conservative, and they'll be looking at the Te Pāti Māori going, "What the hell's happened here?" Because not all Māori are radical, right?
Well, the generation I born in 1959. The vast majority of the generation that I grew up with in rural New Zealand, they're the volunteers at the church, they're the volunteers at the marae, they're the volunteers at Anzac Day. They're still racing around trying to raise money and help sporting clubs. In fact, the IRD system, we need to look at that as to how we reward people for their volunteer service, so that it more makes it more worthwhile. Yeah. But then you've got this other crowd. And unless we take them on, but also promote an alternative, mate, that we're willing to ensure represents a genuinely enlightened pathway, then you're always going to have Easy Street dangling in front of people who want to exploit the Easy Street option to mobilise support for their political agendas. Well, they've met their match in the Rangatira Winston and the Matua Shane.
Well, you got your chance to do it now. Hey, what will it be like without Winston being deputy? So you'll move across to the other side of Parliament there. You'll still be in the government, of course. My knowledge of Winston is that he's loyal. He sees these things through. He's signed a deal. He'll go through on it. But I wonder if he'll be off the leash a little bit more. Still a minister, but he'll be off the leash a little bit more.
Well, you would remember when Winston used to command the House. He used to do it from the crossbenches.
Yeah.
He was on the crossbenches from that period of time, 2011 to 2014.
That's where he's best.
He even sat down there on the crossbenches in 2005 to 2008. Remember, you had the bloke Brown, the
Peter,
the English guy, speaking guy. He was a pretty good orator.
Yeah, I quite like Peter.
I know Winston and I are recapturing old territory.
Yeah.
It's familiar landscape terrain to both of us.
And
I'm just blessed that I'll be able to boom up towards the press gallery, and within spitting distance, I'll have the Green Party.
Yeah. Well, just finally, Chloe Swarbrick's budget. Wow. What a stuff up that was. What appalling mess. What an appalling understanding of anything.
Yeah, well, that budget was an ideological form of kalupa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so the way, when she speaks, she reminds me of one of those insect-devouring plants. And as I said to Cozzy, sorry, not to Cozzy, I said to Chippy, you're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find an electoral prince. Well, keep away from her or you will catch ideological kalupa.
Yeah, I just think that she had no idea what she was talking about. And it was a brilliant warm-up act for the budget, because whatever you guys did was going to look good compared to that.
Yeah. No. Well, it gave, hey, it's a contrast, mate. The reality is these polls show that she's between 9 and 12%. I can't understand it myself, whether it's a brand youth thing, but it's just not possible to run the economy on mung bean wind or unicorn kissing.
Yeah, and also a lack of understanding, where she says, "I'll come back to you with that. I have no idea. I haven't read it." You can't run a country not knowing shit. You can't make it up like that. You can't keep running around making it up. You found out, and she was found out, I reckon. Shane, good to talk to you, mate. Always nice to see you. Thank you so much. Kia ora.
Kia ora, guys.
Okay,
Take care.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
All right, Tamatua Shane Jones. Always appreciate his time on the program. Ground control to Christchurch. Big fella?
G'day, mate. How you doing?
Good man. No, Shane's always good, eh? He's got to turn a phrase, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. He's a good speaker. He knows nothing else to talk about.
New Zealanders understand him.
Yeah.
What was that, Shane?
Brings a good energy.
Don't worry about guys talking in the third person, though. Well, here's Matua Shane Jones. Here's Duncan Garner. Anyway, we got some letters. We have a bit of feedback over the weekend, eh?
Yes, yeah. I've got some comments here from your episode from Friday.
Yep.
Where you were discussing the panel alongside Francis Cook and Hannah
McQueen.
Yes,
there we go. A bit of feedback, eh?
Check it out. Yep. But I got some comments here, a couple of good ones. This government is no better than the last to borrow money. Will never free us. It's time that people need to see where our money is going. That was from Sharon.
Where is our money going?
Yeah. Richard Clark, in response to a letter that you got on Friday that you read out, says the main reason Duncan is good is because he speaks fast. It's even better at 2 times speed, gets info across and saves time.
Well, the worst thing about speaking fast is that you need more material.
True.
Yeah. It's hard.
You still got to hit that 20-minute mark. And then this one here from an account called Press Me, who's probably got a bit of a different perspective to other people in the Duncan Garner comments section, which is great. Love to see it. And they say, me. We are so entitled that we expect handouts and freebies from every budget. Once upon a time, our taxes were perceived as for the good of the country as a whole. Now it's just complaints that each special interest group isn't getting what it deserves. Admittedly, this national-led coalition isn't all it could be, but we have what we have. We can choose to be gracious with our leaders' decisions or act like spoiled brats because Santa didn't give us the gifts we assumed were ours. The pension will be means-tested one day, and you can thank all those current gold card holders with their grabby little fingers and enough government-funded retirement to pay for private health insurance and lifestyle villages. Once they've blown through, leaving their grandchildren renting for life, the real pain will start, and those of us who will never own a home, have a stable job, or even have the chance to retire.
Oh my God, it's almost depressing, but it's so true. There's always been intergenerational wars. There's always been a war. We look at the baby boomers, and they're getting $30 billion of transfers every year, and all this sort of thing, and they're doing okay. And then you look at younger ones who can't get into a house, and the houses are 10 times as much as their salaries. And in my parents' day, it was 3 times. There's always going to be intergenerational war, and no one's better off, pointing fingers at people. We're just going to get on with it. We've got to work. I think there is too much welfare in New Zealand. I think we need jobs. Jobs change lives. Education changes lives.
Yeah, education's a big one.
I've been sent Auckland FC's historic debut season pressed to vinyl here. It's
pretty mean.
Yeah, it's a proper record of. You're right into them, right? You'd be disappointed today.
Yeah.
Well, this can make up for the loss.
No,
I'll flick it down to you, bro. Yeah, if you want it, yeah. Quite a cool little thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mate.
Yeah. All right, brother. That's Shane Jones will take over New Zealand first one day. Winston's 80. Copped a lot of shit from that guy, last week and everything. Winston's still pretty competent, eh? Still pretty competent at 80, go to rest homes, have a look at some 80-year-olds dribbling into their soup, having to pull the teeth out of the soup and everything. Winston's still got it, eh? Is that rude? Is that mean?
Yeah. Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
That's us. Thanks for your feedback and support. Get in touch through our social media at Duncan Garner Podcast, TikTok, Instagram, flick us an email, duncan@rover.nz. I just want to say, if anyone from the Croatian Club is listening, I was there on Saturday night to do a speech. They were abusing me, and I had to yell at them, sit down, mate. It was like Winston, but I really enjoyed it. Thanks for inviting me, and thank you for listening to the podcast as well. There's some diehards there. So please tell your friends, subscribe. If you can subscribe, that'd be really useful. It helps us stay around. To my team, Isaac, thank you, brother. And we'll do it tomorrow. Remember, life's no dress rehearsal. No curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. So get out and enjoy it and have a great rest of the day. Take care, New Zealand. Ta-da.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.